Hello everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today we are going to be breaking down the Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2 trailer in honor of Part 2 coming out next week. I am beyond excited for Part 2 to come out for a lot of reasons. Number one, I'm excited to see how the season ends. Number two, I'm kind of ready to just know what happens because the Bridgerton fandom has been very annoying in this month-long gap between Part 1 and Part 2. Everyone's just been making stuff up, saying that they know somebody who saw the episodes. And whether what they're saying is true or not, I don't care. I just want speculation to stop, and I just want to see what actually happens. However, we are going to be watching the trailer for Part 2, and we're going to break it down scene by scene and figure out what is going to happen in Part 2 together. Before we get into it, I want to real quick shout out my Patreon. Over on there, you can watch my full reactions to Bridgerton Season 3 Part 1, along with my reactions to Season 3 Part 2, which will be uploaded to my Patreon once Part 2 comes out. You can also watch commentary tracks with me for Bridgerton Season 1 and Season 2. And once Bridgerton ends, we will be going right into House of the Dragon, so we'll have commentary tracks for House of the Dragon Season 1 and reactions to House of the Dragon Season 2. My Patreon is linked in the description down below. Make sure you go check it out because it's a lot of fun over there. But without further ado, let's get into this trailer. Real quick, before we get into breaking down this trailer, there are going to be spoilers from the Romancing Mr. Bridgerton book that I'm going to use to give myself some context and guess as to what's going to happen in Part 2. So if you want to go into Part 2 completely blind, and if you don't want any spoilers from their books, you probably don't want to watch this video, or you can watch this video after Part 2 comes out. But yeah, just a warning, we'll probably be talking some book and probably show spoilers. Okay, so the trailer starts out with Penelope in a carriage, riding, so obviously she's probably going to deliver some Whistledown papers somewhere. So in these shots, I'm going to assume that this is right where episode 5 is going to start. It's going to start pretty much right where episode 4 ends off, with Colin and Penelope getting out of the carriage, going into the Bridgerton house to announce their engagement to Colin's family. So we get to see Colin announce his engagement to Violet, Francesca, and Hyacinth, and they're all happy for them. And then Eloise is just standing off to the side. Obviously, Eloise is not happy. We see a couple of characters find out about their engagement through Lady Whistledown. So we see Lord Anderson and Lady Danbury. We see Benedict with Tilly find out, and we get to see the Featheringtons find out about it, which I think is going to be very funny. So we get Lady Danbury talking, who needs fresh air when there's fresh gossip. That's going to be the scene where both her and Lord Anderson are finding out about Whistledown. It cuts to this shot of the Queen, and when you start breaking down trailers, you start to notice that trailers will try and trick you every which way. So this shot of the Queen is edited to look like it's her finding out about Colin and Penelope's engagement, but we had a bunch of stills be released of Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2, and we know which episodes those stills are from. And there's a still of the Queen in this exact outfit, in this exact room, from episode 7. So this shot of the Queen is from episode 7, when seemingly I would assume everyone else's reaction to them getting engaged would be in episode 5. We have Portia and Penelope walking in front of the rest of the Featherington family. Portia is probably going to be very obsessive over Colin and Penelope's engagement. Obviously, we can tell from this shot that she's already starting to favor Penelope. It's hard to say what episode this is from. I think this might be from episode 6, because I feel like that's a dress that we see Penelope in episode 6, but don't quote me on that. We see Penelope and Colin in a church. I'm going to assume that this is probably just after a regular Sunday church service. And we see them have a cute little dancing moment. Penelope tells Colin how much she loves him. It's safe to say that Colin still doesn't know that she's Lady Whistledown at this point in time because they're happy. This shot of them dancing alone in the church, though, is very cute. So then we get a little scene of Eloise being mad at Penelope for still not telling Colin that she is Lady Whistledown. We know that this scene is probably directly after Colin and Penelope announced their engagement to the family, like we saw at the beginning of the trailer, because these are the exact same dresses. It's nighttime. So probably Eloise either leaves the room and Penelope follows her, or Eloise pulls her aside and is like, "You're engaged to Colin, but he doesn't know that you're Lady Whistledown." A lot of people have taken to Twitter and have been saying that they think Eloise is out of line for this. I completely disagree. I think Eloise is beyond valid. Eloise has kept Penelope's secret of being Lady Whistledown this whole time out of respect for Penelope and out of respect for their friendship. But there is a line to that, and that line is drawn when it comes to family. Like, Eloise and Colin are blood-related family. And like, Penelope fans will defend left and right how in season 1, Penelope was upset about Marina and Colin getting engaged because Marina was lying to Colin. But when Eloise is upset that Penelope is lying to Colin and Colin is her literal brother, she's out of line. Seems a little hypocritical, if you ask me. So we see Kate and Anthony return from their honeymoon in episode 5. Welcome home. Here we have Anthony and Benedict sitting down to discuss Colin's very fast engagement to Penelope. While their voiceover keeps talking in that episode, we get some shots from other episodes. Based on the dress that Penelope is wearing in this shot, Colin gives Penelope an engagement ring in episode 6. And I have a question. Why does every engagement ring in Bridgerton look exactly the same? That looks identical to the ring that Anthony gave to Kate, just saying. Here we have Penelope and Colin in a room that's not Bridgerton House and it's not the Featherington house. So it's safe to assume that this is probably what they plan to be their new home. And this is also seemingly going to be the mirror scene that happens between the two of them in their book. It's definitely happening at a different point in time in the show. This is episode 5, whereas in the book, I think the mirror scene happens at the very end. And also, the mirror scene happens when Colin knows that Penelope is Lady Whistledown in the book. And if this is what I think it is, in episode 5, Colin still doesn't know that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. So that's definitely a really interesting development to the whole Whistledown reveal situation. So we have Benedict asking if Anthony is going to duel his own brother. And this line caused a bit of a disturbance on Twitter. I think this line is meant to imply that Anthony cares a lot about Penelope, cares about her like she's one of his sisters. So Colin compromising her before the wedding makes Anthony a little angry, like it did with Daphne in season 1. But 2 things about that. Number 1, have we ever seen Anthony and Penelope interact in the show? I don't know if we have. And if we have, it's not really significant enough to warrant him feeling like he would want to duel his brother. And second of all, Benedict asking if Anthony would duel with Colin still doesn't really make sense. I get what they're going for with that line to try and show that all the Bridgertons feel as though Penelope is already part of the family, but it's just a weird line. And I don't think it works really well, but it's not a big deal. This shot looks like it's from their engagement party, so this would be episode 5. We have everyone toasting to Penelope and Colin at their engagement party in episode 5. In this shot, we see Francesca and John are at the engagement party. This means this is also probably going to be the first time that Kate and Anthony meet John because they just got back. We also see that Benedict brought Tilly to the engagement party, which is very interesting if you ask me. Because in part 1, Benedict and Tilly don't really seem like there's something serious. Tilly sort of lays it out for Benedict. She's not looking for a husband. She doesn't want to be called on. She's not looking to be courted or anything. It's kind of just a physical relationship. But I feel like bringing someone to your brother's engagement party is like kind of a big deal. And it's like a big step. So it's interesting that Tilly's there, for sure. Eloise gives a toast saying here's to truly knowing each other. So once again, I think she's still very valid for being upset that Penelope is lying to Colin. The shot we saw of her earlier in the trailer talking to Penelope in the hallway was probably like at the beginning of episode 5, and this is probably towards the end of episode 5. So clearly like time has gone by where Penelope still could have told Colin the truth and she chooses not to. So Eloise still being upset at their engagement party, I think is valid. Penelope seems to be panicking at their engagement party. Colin asks Penelope about all the ink on her hands. This is going to be episode 6 where he gives her the engagement ring. So this is after their engagement party in episode 5, and Colin still does not know that Penelope is Lady Whistledown, in case you were keeping track. We get Eloise and Penelope fighting in a room. I believe that this is in episode 6 based on the dresses they're wearing and based on stills that we have from the episodes. So Eloise is still mad that Penelope still hasn't told Colin by the time we get to episode 6. She says until he knows the real you, he cannot possibly love you. And that's true. That's true. We get a shot of Penelope riding in what looks to be the house that her and Colin are planning to move into. It's the same room, I think, where the mirror scene happens. So this could be after Colin finds out that she's Lady Whistledown. If she's riding at their new home, would this be her riding as Whistledown after they're married? Hard to say. The next shot is Colin sitting by himself, seemingly once again in their new home. So this is either episode 7 or episode 8. I would assume either episode 7 or early episode 8, because they can't still be mad at each other towards the end of episode 8. They have to make up before then. But this shot seems like Colin in their new home. He seems to be upset. So I would assume that this is after he knows about Penelope being Whistledown. And if they're in their new home, that means they're married. So do they get married while Colin is mad at her? The voiceover during this scene is Penelope saying, "Colin cannot discover my secret. Whistledown is power." But like I said, trailers love to trick you. They love to switch things up. They love to put lines over scenes that have nothing to do with each other so that it makes the scene look like one thing when it's something different entirely in the context of the show. So I think that the words we're hearing Penelope say are to Eloise in episode 6, but the shots that we're seeing are of Penelope and Colin in their new home, either episode 7 or episode 8. We see a shot of Colin and Penelope dancing, and I think that this is also going to be episode 6 based on Penelope's dress, and based on the fact that they seem to be happy, so Colin at this point still does not know that Penelope is Whistledown. So it's safe to say that he probably finds out about her being Whistledown towards the end of episode 6 or at the beginning of episode 7. So then we get more shots from episode 5 at their engagement party. It seems like Eloise gives Penelope an ultimatum, telling her that she needs to tell Colin that she's Whistledown by midnight of their engagement party. Obviously something prevents Penelope from telling Colin, and Eloise still doesn't tell him because Colin still doesn't know by episode 6. So obviously something happens to prevent them telling him at the engagement party. We see a really quick shot of a different ball. This is probably either from episode 7 or 8. I'm going to nickname this ball the Red Room Ball because it's easier. Obviously, we don't know whose home this is, so I can't call it the Danbury Ball or the Bridgerton Ball. So we're going to call it the Red Room Ball because we get a couple of shots of it later on in the trailer. Here we have some shots of the ball that happens in episode 6. Whistledown papers are being passed out, and you can see on the Whistledown papers that Cressida Cowper's name is signed next to Lady Whistledown. So seemingly, just like in the Romancing Mr. Bridgerton book, Cressida is going to try and claim that she is Lady Whistledown, which is very interesting. Here we have Penelope and Colin fighting. I think it's safe to assume that them fighting is in episode 7, basically just immediately after Colin finds out that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. We have another overhead shot of the ball that happens in episode 6. We can tell because we can see Violet, Eloise, and Francesca over in the corner. Thankfully, the dresses that people wear really help you realize what scenes are next to each other, because the trailer loves to chop things up. Here we have a shot of Francesca and John dancing, and in the background we can see Penelope and Colin. It looks like Penelope is in a white dress. This could be Penelope and Colin married, and this could be the little celebration after their wedding. Next we have a shot of Kate and Anthony at what I would also assume is Penelope and Colin's wedding for 2 reasons. Number 1, if you look to the left of Kate, you can see the shoulder of Francesca in the exact same outfit of the last clip we just saw. So it would make sense Francesca's wearing that to the wedding. They all either go back to the Featherington house or the Bridgerton house and have a little wedding party celebration. And the second reason that I think that this is Colin's wedding is because later on there's a shot of Penelope and Colin's jacket is identical to what Anthony's wearing. So maybe Anthony is his best man, or maybe all the Bridgerton brothers are just in the same outfit. Now, I do want to point out that I think that Kate's hair in this shot is really, really, really bad. As I have sat on season 3 part 1, and after watching this season 3 part 2 trailer, I think that the hair and makeup department of season 3 needs to be fired. I don't think it's very good. I can allow a bit of a smoky eye. Obviously, Bridgerton is not very historically accurate, so a little more makeup than they would actually wear in the 1800s is fine, right? But are we getting to a point where it's too much? Because this doesn't look good on Kate. In season 2, Kate has this natural beauty because Simone Ashley is just so stunning. Everybody in the show is insanely beautiful. So let's start there. Every single woman in the show is insanely beautiful. The makeup in season 2 is not overdone. It's very natural, and all it does is enhance Kate's beauty. This makeup, though, maybe it's the lighting, I don't know what it is, but it's bad. And the hair, atrocious. I kind of need them to get a new hair and makeup person for season 4 because this is bad. Especially if season 4 is Benedict and Sophie's season for real. You can't put a smoky eye on a maid. You can't do it. Sophie's gonna have to have a very natural makeup look. Anyways, that's my little side rant. We'll get more into the makeup actually towards the end of this trailer because I have something to say. So here we have Benedict and Tilly. Benedict is in Tilly's house and Tilly has another man on her arm, which is T. In this first shot here, Benedict's face looks either shocked or sad. But in this second shot, where we can only see the back of Benedict's head, his cheek kind of looks like he's smiling. So I can't really read the vibes of this scene, of this situation. All I know is that these shots are probably from either episode 7 or episode 8. Here we have Violet and Lord Anderson dancing together at a ball, and we have Eloise watching in the back. I do believe that this is also at the Red Room Ball, which takes place in, once again, either episode 7 or 8. Penelope is still hiding stuff in her floorboards. She looks at her engagement ring, so this is probably episode 6, considering that's when Colin gives it to her. Portia and Penelope have a little conversation about women aren't allowed to have dreams. It's going to be very interesting to see how Portia treats Penelope once she's engaged to Colin, because we know that Portia is just obsessed with her children marrying well. Penelope is burning pages in a fire, which implies she might be giving up being Lady Whistledown, but we've also seen shots in this trailer of her writing in what we can assume is an episode 7 or episode 8. So maybe she kind of goes back and forth between deciding to give up Whistledown so she doesn't have to tell Colin, or still being Lady Whistledown after Colin finds out. We get a shot of everyone bowing to the Queen, which seems to be at the ball that's in episode 6. Colin and Penelope kissing while she's in her Lady Whistledown attire. So is he mad or is he not mad? We see Kate and Anthony kissing, and I think that this is at Colin and Penelope's engagement party. We see Benedict and Tilly kissing, and I'm really trying to figure out when this is based on the color of his jacket and of his necktie, but it's hard to tell. Once again, it's probably episode 7 or 8. He is in a different jacket and necktie than the scene we just saw of him being shocked that she's with another man. So this is either before that or after that. All I'm saying is the Tilly plotline going into episode 8 needs to stop. They need to cut it off and wrap it up because he needs to get ready for his season. That's all I'm saying. Here we have the Queen pointing at someone, but this is from the Red Room Ball, and it cuts to Cressida in like this crazy red outfit. But you can tell from the background of the shot that this is at the ball in episode 6. So when the Queen is pointing at someone in the Red Room Ball, it's probably not Cressida, it's probably somebody else. Could it be Penelope? We have a little quick shot of Penelope and Colin dancing, and I think this is their wedding because, like I said, Colin's jacket and whole outfit is almost identical to Anthony's in that one shot with Kate and Anthony. So if I assume that the shot of Anthony is at their wedding, then I'm also going to assume that this is them dancing at their wedding. And they look pretty similar to what they look like in the back of that shot with John and Francesca. Now, I don't know if I can read the vibes of their faces in this scene. They don't look the happiest. So we'll get to that in a second. Colin getting shirtless. This could literally be at any point in time in the show, to be honest. Literally could be at any point in time. He is always without a shirt on. Seems like we have a little contraption here releasing monarch butterflies at the Red Room Ball. So maybe this ball that happens is like the big final ball of the season, because it seems like a lot is happening here. The Queen is pointing at someone, they're releasing butterflies. This next shot is another shot of the same ball. We have Penelope standing on the side, and we get a close-up of Penelope at this ball where she turns and sees Colin. And I can't fully read the vibes of their look here, but it seems like they're still at odds with each other. So one of two things happen. Either the Red Room Ball, as I have dubbed it, happens in episode 7. They make up, and then they get married in episode 8. Or they get married in episode 7 while they're still mad at each other, which would be kind of upsetting to see them have a wedding, but they're at odds with each other. But they get married. Colin is still upset. Penelope keeps writing for Lady Whistledown, which would be why we see her writing in their new home in that one shot. And then the Red Room Ball is episode 8, and that's where they make up. It is one of two things. Now, remember when I said that we were going to talk more about makeup in a second? Well, this is it. What's up with the red lipstick? What's up with it? I hate it. I'm really sorry. I really don't like it for multiple reasons. Number one, it doesn't look like it's applied really well. Did overlining lips exist in the 1800s? No. Nicola Coughlan is so pretty. She is so naturally stunning. This lipstick looks heavy on her. It doesn't look good, and it makes me sad. Like I said, obviously Bridgerton is not historically accurate, right? But there's some things where it's like, it's just gonna stand out and feel weird. And I think that this bright red lipstick is one of those things. Like, we haven't seen a single soul wear a bright red lipstick in this show. The only person that I would accept and feel normal about wearing a bright red lipstick would be the queen. Penelope is not the queen. I don't know. I don't like it. I do not like it. I think it looks bad, which makes me very upset for Penelope. But that's the end of breaking down the shots in the trailer. So let's sort of break down what I think is going to happen in each episode. Episode 5, everyone's going to learn about Colin and Penelope's engagement. We are going to see their engagement party. Eloise is going to give Penelope an ultimatum about telling Colin the truth, and that's going to make Penelope sort of panic like we see in the trailer. And obviously, something happens where they just don't tell Colin. Episode 6, Colin gives Penelope an engagement ring. They probably do some wedding planning. I'm sure a bunch of stuff happens with all of our side characters. And then there's going to be a ball at the end of episode 6. And at this ball, Colin still doesn't know that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. We see scenes of Eloise still being upset with Penelope at this ball in episode 6. And also at this ball in episode 6, we see Cressida in like a crazy red outfit, and we see these Lady Whistledown pamphlets being passed out with Cressida's name signed off on them. So this is probably where Cressida takes credit for being Whistledown, like she does in Colin's book. And hey, if you're gonna take credit for being Lady Whistledown, you gotta wear a big, red, bright outfit, right? So then Colin will either find out about Penelope being Lady Whistledown at the end of episode 6, after Cressida takes credit, or he's going to find out at the very beginning of episode 7. Either way, here's how I think episode 7 is gonna go down. I think Colin's gonna find out, they're gonna fight, maybe half make up. I don't know, they kiss, so it's hard to say. But I still think Colin will be very mad about it, because there's no way that they're gonna let Colin find out that she is Lady Whistledown and then just not have him be angry for at least a whole episode. He has to be angry for a while. So I think he's gonna find out, confront her, and they'll fight. And I think it's possible that their wedding is going to happen in episode 7, and they're going to be mad at each other during their wedding, or things are going to be awkward at least during their wedding. Penelope might still be riding for Lady Whistledown, as we see in the shots of them in their house, and they seem to be at odds with each other. And then I think the Red Room Ball is going to be episode 8. And I think that at this ball, a lot of stuff is going to come to a head. I think this is going to be like the big final ball of the season. And I think that shot of the queen showing up and pointing at somebody is actually going to be her pointing at Penelope. And I think it's very possible that at this ball, Penelope comes out as the real Lady Whistledown. This would help her and Colin sort of make up. And it would maybe at least make a little sense why she's wearing the red lipstick, because if this is going to be some big reveal for her character, maybe the makeup department felt like she should have a certain sort of makeup on for it. If she's just wearing red lipstick to like be at another ball, that's just going to be crazy and ridiculous. I think that her red lipstick helps signify that that's going to be a big scene and a big moment. And I think that they're going to reveal that she's Whistledown to the Ton at that ball. Because at the end of Colin and Penelope's book, Colin reveals that Penelope's Whistledown at this big ball at the end of their book. So that's how I sort of think the course of events are going to go. Obviously, that's just me spitballing here. I don't know what happens for sure, but we will find out on June 13th, which I am very excited for. And I think that does it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think I missed anything in the trailer. Do you think they're going to reveal Penelope's identity to everybody at the end of season 3? Or are they going to keep Whistledown a secret and keep her in the rest of the show? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you follow me on all my other social media so you don't miss when I talk about Bridgerton or anything else over there. Check out my podcast with my boyfriend, and also, like I said at the beginning of this video, check out my Patreon where you can watch me watch Bridgerton and a whole bunch of other stuff over there. Make sure you like this video and subscribe so you don't miss when I post anything else about Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2. But that does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!